Hey friends, what's up? How's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. So today we're going to be talking about some oud fragrances, designer ouds. Some people might say like entry-level ouds to kind of get your feet wet, because the oud road is a long, winding one that goes through some like funky, dark, dank forests. Some places where you don't want to go alone. And you want to be seasoned, you want to know what you're doing. So these are like tutorials, you know, get your level up. So like I said, got 7 of them here. I like each one of these for different reasons. So let's just jump into it, talk about these. Like usual, I'll have each of these linked in the description below in case you want to check them out. Some of these are more affordable than others, and some are easier to find than others at this point. So in case you guys are a little bit newer into fragrances, just kind of getting into them, getting your feet wet, maybe you haven't been around for a long time. A little while back, I feel like it was maybe a few years ago, but it could be longer than that because of how time goes, you know, it kind of like speeds up. The older you get, it's like, It seemed like everybody had to have their own oud fragrance. So like every designer house, they had to come out with their own oud flanker of something, one of their existing lines. They had to pop something out there that was whatever oud. If you didn't have an oud fragrance, were you even really a fragrance brand? Nah. So that happened for a while, and it left us with a bunch of different oud flankers. Some of them are easier to find, some are harder to find now. And it's really interesting to see how it goes. Like fragrances start to be cyclical. So you had like the oud cycle, and then as everybody got out of that, it's like, okay, let's go on to a new thing. And it was blue fragrances. Everybody had to pop out their blue fragrance. Lately, it seems like iris fragrances or fragrances that have toffee, caramel, or chestnut, like that's the new thing. And sometimes you don't even realize that it's, you know, a whole cycle that's been kicked off until you're well into it and you go, wait a sec, everybody keeps coming out with this kind of fragrance. And then suddenly it stops and then a new one starts. So enough of all that crap. Let's talk about some oud fragrances here. I'm gonna talk about this one first, Versace Oud Noir. This has been a go-to of mine for a while. Really, really like this. Bought it when it first came out. Paid retail for this one. Don't regret it a bit. It's got really nice wearability to it. It's got a little bit of a similarity to Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Not super close. As they dry down, they differentiate from each other, but when you first spray it on, you can pick that up. So it has a really nice warm spiciness to it, going along with that somewhat darker woody aspect here, which is the oud part of Oud Noir. I love the presentation on this as well. You see this a lot with oud fragrances, this whole look, kind of black with gold, but I think it's done really well here. It uses the Versace Pour Homme bottle, which is also Dylan Blue's bottle. Versace Oud Noir is one of my go-to designer ouds, and I think it's maybe the best one to start with if you're gonna start going down that oud path, because it does an oud style fragrance, a Western oud style fragrance really well. It's a nice primer to oud fragrances. The presentation looks good. It's very versatile, very usable. It's easy to break into. And by break into, I mean like into oud fragrances, not like break into the bottle. There we go, Oud Noir, solid stuff. Now, next one I want to talk about is my newest one of this bunch, and I think it's really, really, really good. It is Stronger With You Oud. Now, the problem with this one is going to be the same problem you're going to find with Stronger With You Leather, and that is it's kind of hard to find. They had it at FRAGBUY, I think 3 times now, sold out all 3 times. I got it in their second restock, or their second stocking, so their first restock, and then it restocked one more time after that. But as of this video, it's still sold out, so I don't know, maybe they'll get more in soon. They have a little thing on there where you can put in your email address to be notified when they get more in, but I don't know. So this has that Stronger With You DNA. So it has that gourmand, sweet, warm aspect to it. And then the oud in here is a little bit similar to the way the oud comes across in Boss Bottled Oud, which is right there. So we'll talk about that next, I guess. But this one is a little more slightly like a sweet oud as compared to Versace Oud Noir. It's got like a slight syruped feeling to it, but it smells really, 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 really good. And the performance here is very nice as well. So Stronger With You Oud, I think you should definitely check out if you're able to find it for a price that's not insane. Okay, so Boss Bottled Oud, I brought it up, here it is. This is another favorite of mine, and this one I like a lot because it has the DNA of Boss Bottled. They don't try to hide it, so you get that cinnamon, that apple that you have come to expect from Boss Bottled right here, and instead they've injected it with this sweet woodiness, the oud. I think it's really well done. It's very classy as far as Boss Bottled flankers go, and it's one of the best Boss Bottled flankers that's ever been done, in my opinion. And more than probably any of the ones we're gonna talk about today, this one's affordable, or at least it has been historically a discounter, so it's not too expensive. And this one is another one that's pretty easy to get into because it does smell like Boss Bottled with that oud twist. So if you like Boss Bottled, check this one out. Now I wanted to put another one in from the Bottled Oud line, so I put this one, Oud Saffron. I think it's a little bit better than Oud Aromatic. This one really packs a punch compared to Bottled Oud. You can just smell this from the atomizer. Oof. Yeah, that's got some heft to it. Now, it does have a little bit of a potpourri type smell, but not in an unpleasant way, which maybe sounds weird because I know that nobody out there wants to smell like potpourri, right? You don't want to smell like grandma's house or your mom's potpourri basket that she has sitting next to the door or whatever. This has a little hint of that, like a little hint, but not too much. The saffron here is in full force. You can pick it up right away. Gives it this nice, warm, sweet, semi-powdery pop of spice, but I really like this one. I think Oud Saffron actually smells higher quality than Bottled Oud, but I think between the two, Bottled Oud is easier to wear. So if you want something that's maybe a little more adventurous than Bottled Oud, you could check this one out. Oud Aromatic is pretty good too, but between the two, Oud Saffron just smells higher quality and more interesting to me. All right, next up we got a Gucci. It is Gucci Guilty Oud. Now most of the time I would say Gucci Intense Oud. That's the one you want from Gucci. That one smells a bit like Black Afghano. It's really high quality. It's also pretty expensive. This one, depending on where you look, it's either expensive or really friggin' expensive. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not really cheap, but actually most of the time Gucci Guilty fragrances aren't cheap at discounters. So this one is gonna switch it up as compared to all the other ones here today because this one features rose very prominently. So this one is gonna have rose right there alongside oud pretty much the whole time. And in case you're unaware, there's like a trifecta of notes that get used all the time with these type of fragrances. So it's oud, saffron, rose. Those three notes are very often put together, all three of them in a fragrance. Sometimes you'll see just rose and oud, sometimes just saffron and oud, but a lot of times all three. Now, one thing that's interesting about this is it has a note of blackberry in the opening. So it's gonna give you this different kind of fruity sweetness, a little tart, and it helps set this apart from just about all the other designer ouds. So even though it's a Gucci Guilty, and some people will write it off because of that name, Gucci Guilty Oud's a really nice scent. Now this next one is awesome. One of my favorites. It's more of a pain to find than just about anything else here other than maybe Stronger With You Oud. M7 Oud Absolu, also just straight up M7, but M7 is even harder to find than this. Now this one is gonna smell a little bit more old school as compared to the other fragrances here, and that's because this is essentially a re-release of M7, which is much older than these other fragrances. That being said, the richness of the resins in here, that warmth, that ambery sweetness mixing together with that pungent oud wood here actually sets it apart from all these a great deal. In terms of quality, how it comes across to me, this one is going to be one of the absolute tops of the 7 we talk about here today, if not the top. And this one is really focused in on that oud wood, on that darker woodiness, more so than a lot of these others. Because a lot of these, they have a focus on spice or rose or saffron or whatever. Whereas this is more oud, patchouli, and like I said, resins. So M7 Oud Absolu, this one is a favorite of mine. The original M7 is a favorite of mine. I've got 2 bottles of stuff back there. But if you're a younger guy starting to get into oud, that one may not appeal to you as much as, say, Versace Oud Noir or Stronger With You Oud. All right, last fragrance, John Varvatos Oud. When this first released, I wanted it really bad, like really bad. I saw the announcement for this thing. I thought the bottle looked really cool. It was expensive. I feel like it was just over $150, for a bottle at retail. Originally, I thought this was gonna be metal, but it's plastic, just looks like metal. Would have been cooler if it was metal, but I imagine you could also run into some issues there with it, you know, poking people if a little piece sticks out, and I don't know, it's just easier to be plastic, I guess. So this one does have rose, oud, and saffron in it, so it does have the trifecta, but it's got a lot else. There are a bunch of notes in here, which a number of Varvatos fragrances are like that. So you have leather, you got tobacco, you have incense, you've got woods, you've got resins, you got all kinds of stuff going on here. The longevity is decent, but it doesn't actually project all that well for all that long. It's kind of par for the course with Varvatos fragrances. You would think with this being Varvatos Oud and having tobacco, leather, and all that other stuff I just talked about that it would pump out for longer, but it really doesn't. Out of everything here, I'd say it's the weakest performer. That being said, it's very versatile, very classy, and easy to wear for a designer oud, which is something that maybe doesn't really surprise me because Varvatos fragrances, even if they don't project all that hard, the quality of the fragrance is actually usually pretty good, and the wearability is there too. And this is no different. So those are 7 oud fragrances. If you're just getting started, you want to check out some designer ouds that you should seek out. All of these are really good in their own way. Some of them maybe would appeal more to me than others, but all of them I think are really well done. All right, guys, I am gonna head out of here. Thank you for hanging with me here today. I'm actually looking forward to wearing these more as it cools down outside. Let me know some of your favorite designer ouds in the comments, and I'll see you again another day with another video, like probably tomorrow. See you guys later.